Hey, Cashflow Ninjas, real quick before we jump into today's episode. I've been asked by many people recently, what has been the one thing that has made all the difference on my journey as a business owner and investor? I started businesses and I've invested in businesses. I've invested in single family real estate, multifamily real estate. I still have a sizable portfolio of multifamily real estate, historic resorts, mobile home parks, oil and gas, life settlements, gold and silver, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I could go on. But the one thing that has changed the financial trajectory for myself and my family has been infinite banking. Yes, you heard that correctly. That is the number one thing I've done over the past 2 decades that have made the single biggest difference. And it's not even close. Setting up and building out a family banking system using infinite banking has enabled me to create my own financial system. This year, it has allowed me to focus and not pay attention to all the chaos in the global economy and global financial markets. I really don't pay attention to all the noise about tariffs, trade wars, markets violently going down and then going back up, or interest rates skyrocketing and wrecking real estate deals and other alternative investment deals. Do not be beholden to other systems. Create your own system. If you're interested in working with me and my team at Producers Wealth to set up your own banking system or your own business and family banking system, then go to getwealthyforsure.com. That's getwealthyforsure.com. When you go to getwealthyforsure.com, you can request a free copy of my best-selling book, Get Wealthy for Sure. Only pay for shipping. You can also watch all of our presentations and schedule a call to explore infinite banking options with me and my team. You don't have to be powerless amidst the chaos. You too can have a financial strategy that provides certainty, predictability, and clarity. You and your family can also get wealthy for sure. Go to getwealthyforsure.com to start your journey today. The world is going through changes. Changes happening at a speed that we have never seen before. This is leading to disruption, chaos, panic, fear, hysteria, and a turbulent economy and marketplace. How do you protect your wealth in a turbulent world? How do you invest for cash flow in alternative assets to escape the rat race in times of uncertainty? How do you decentralize yourself, your family, your community, your business, and your investments to become sovereign and escape the matrix? If you are looking for strategies, tactics, and techniques to escape the rat race and matrix, you are in the right place. My name is MC Laubscher, and this is Cashflow Ninja. This is Cashflow Ninja. I'm MC Laubscher. Thank you so much for, again, joining me for another episode and spending your most valuable resource, your time, with me. Everything Cashflow Ninja is at cashflowninja.com. We have more than 1,000 episodes. We've got 4 books, reports, webinars, and much, much more, all at cashflowninja.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the #1 newsletter in the alternative wealth strategy and alternative asset investing space, the Wealth Dojo. You can subscribe to the Wealth Dojo by going to cashflowninja.com/subscribe. I've got a fantastic show for you today. I'm joined by Kurt and Kristen Luidhardt. Kurt and Kristen, great to see you guys.
Hello.
Great to be with you.
I have been looking forward to this conversation. I've really had a lot of fun connecting with you guys and having some great conversations. And I'm excited to share you with all of my listeners and viewers at Cashflow Ninja. So just to get started, can you guys just share a little bit about your background and journey with my listeners and viewers? And then we'll get to what you're up to today.
Yeah, I'll let Kurt share that. But I did want to say thank you for inviting us, because I was looking like anybody does. I mean, we did research because we had you on our podcast, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was going back and looking at your website, and I'm like, man, there are some heavy hitters on here. I do not feel worthy. So I am just really honored and appreciative of the chance to chat with you.
Well, it's wonderful to be on. And, we've had a very interesting journey. Kristen and I met in college in the College Republican Club, right?
I know, nerd alert.
Talk about a meet cute, right? And, Kristen actually came to a meeting because she wanted to lead a trip to the Conservative Political Action Conference, and that's where we met and became friends. We were both really passionate about electing the right politicians, right? And at that time in my life, I would have said, if we just got the right politicians elected, the sun will come out, the Red Sea will part, all of the world's problems would be solved. And so Chris and I embarked on this journey. We did it together. We got married a few years later and started a marketing agency working for Republican politicians all over the country. I mean, we started with the ittiest bittiest of politicians because we were little and no one wanted to hire us at the time, and did some local races, and then got in our car and traveled all over the country. Used to sleep in the car because we were broke, and you couldn't afford a hotel. We weren't living in the car, thankfully. I know some people lived in their car while they were building their business. We just slept in it when we traveled, but began to build a business that became the kind of company that now, almost 19 years later, we've raised almost $600 million for Republican political candidates across the country. We've helped elect over 100 members of Congress, 15 U.S. senators, 15 governors, one president, Donald Trump. And we've got 30 plus employees. And then a couple years ago, we said, we love working for these politicians, but that whole idea that the right politician is going to save us. After 19 years of working for some really good people, we're not cynics in the sense that we think all these politicians are bad. And there's a lot of people out there who just think our politicians are a bunch of crooks. And generally speaking, we haven't found that to be true. But they're going out to D.C., entering a really tough place, a really tough system where all the incentives are wrong, and we're struggling to solve problems. And so the belief that, some great politician's going to come in and wave their wand and get it all done just isn't there for us. And in the meantime, we're seeing businesses every day out there really solving the world's most practical problems, whether it's you solving funding issues for small businesses or somebody inventing a new healthcare tool or bringing new natural health solutions that get us off of our addiction to pharmaceuticals in this country, or people who are creating cool technology that allow people to connect in unique and wonderful ways. It's these business owners who really, in some respects, helping the sun to come out and the Red Sea to part. If you've started a business and you employ 30 to 50 employees, you're probably created 30 to 50 more jobs than most of our political clients. And so at this point, we said, we really got to do more to help brands. And so we've just recently started doing that.
And that brings in kind of the Liberty Spender world that you've created, and it's an incredible ecosystem. Can you share a little bit more about Liberty Spenders, the idea behind it, what it is, and the incredible opportunity that it provides for business owners?
Yeah. Well, we being political professionals, we like data. We like a lot of data, and so. For years we'd have friends of ours, other business owners ask us, can you help market my business? We'd say, no, that's not what we do. We know what we do well. That's not our shtick. Let us try to help you find somebody. And so when things changed for us and we felt actually called to look into this, and we saw these trends building and people that were kind of tired of giving their money to businesses and brands that didn't like them, right? It's like, why am I giving my money to these businesses who are working directly against my interests and what I believe in? And so we did our homework. We ran a national survey. We got a model looking for people that would say, I am more likely to buy from businesses and brands that align with my either Christian or politically conservative values. And we identified 76.5 million of those people based on that model and survey. And so that was shocking to us, how large that audience size was. We have since built that out to be even more than that. But that's really what got us started, was validating what we felt like. How big is this market? What does this look like? And so we call them Liberty spenders specifically because they are making decisions based on a whole number of factors. People be familiar with veteran-owned businesses or people that might donate a portion of their proceeds to causes that they support. But it really goes beyond that. This is lessening now, but there was, people that didn't like the focus on ESG or DEI policies or things like that. And so this is an amazing ecosystem that's very tight-knit. They're loyal. They refer more often. They repurchase at a greater frequency. These are customers you want to have if you're building your business. And so we set out to help companies reach this audience. We know these people well. This is who we've been marketing to. We got very good on the political side, raising money from low dollar contributors. So people that are giving anywhere from $5 to, $500 or something. And so we know how to reach them. We know how to talk to them. And now we know also who they are, related to businesses and how they're making purchasing decisions. So we're just really excited to help businesses who are mission focused. They are kingdom building. These people are out to change the world and do great things. And we're excited to come alongside and help them.
Yeah. Well, and if we could zoom out for a second, we know from national surveys that 85% of all American consumers say now that they're considering a company's values along with their features and benefits when they buy a product. And a lot of businesses are ignoring this. Mm-hmm. They're out there talking about, well, my widget's better than the other guy's widget, or it's cheaper than the other guy's widget. When 85% of consumers also want to know, oh, by the way, are you treating your employees well? Where's your money go after I give it to you? These are now questions that 85% of all consumers are saying they're asking. And 75% of them said they've switched a brand in the last 12 months over that. And so businesses are missing this entirely, probably because a lot of us, I'm a Gen Xer, right? I was told not to talk about politics and religion, right? Like that's like the topic you don't bring up with strangers.
Especially not in business.
Right.
Like, I want to serve everybody. Why am I bringing this? Keep that to yourself, people.
Yeah. So people are now looking for those things, no matter where you come from, right, left, Christian, non-Christian, faith, no faith. 85% of America says we're now looking at that stuff. And businesses are missing it. I think it's a symptom of what we're going through in sort of a lack of trust just in general in society right now. Consumers don't really know who to trust, who to listen to. And so their closest approximation to it is, who's part of my tribe? I'm going to buy from somebody who's part of my tribe, and I'm not going to buy from these people who are not. And so it's a giant change in the way consumers are shopping right now. And as a business owner, you've got an opportunity today to jump onto something that is absolutely changing the way people make purchasing decisions, and most are missing it entirely.
You bring up such a good point. I forgot which poll it was, but there was a poll that basically looked at the public's trust in institutions. So I'm talking government, healthcare, education, and it's, I believe it was the lowest. It ranked the lowest of that poll that was ever recorded. So if you're entering the frame of consumers out there and in the public, they have lost trust in every single institution. So to your point, who do you then do business with or feel drawn to, right?
Well, and it's been happening for some time, and that's been true of a lot of government, institutions. But, no matter how you feel about COVID or what policies were enacted or how people feel about the vaccine, it opened up a lot of wait a minute, where am I getting my information? Who can I trust? And so all of that, I think, really expedited the trends that were already happening. And it extended to businesses. And there were a couple of entities that really had been kind of untouched. And we saw, to your point, I know exactly what we're talking about, that survey. I wish I could cite it specifically, but we saw it expand to now it's like any form of, big institution, a big company. It's just trust is gone. And it goes into media, right? And what we listen to. And it's why you're seeing more influencers pop up, because we'd rather hear directly from source. We don't even care how they're funded. We want to hear directly. And so, again, this isn't, I don't think, a news flash to anybody. You would understand these trends. But thinking about it in terms of how do I speak to potential customers in a new way that acknowledges this?
Yeah, it's an absolute necessity. And it's one thing that's not talked about a lot. Even AI is creating this lack of trust. I don't know if the video I'm watching is true or not.
Right.
And in the last even few weeks, it's got significantly worse with the advent of some really new video technology that just looks increasingly realistic. And you have to understand, as a business owner, your consumer is now asking the question, is this real? Mm-hmm. Right? Is this ad I'm seeing real? Was it made by AI? Is it just something fake? And it's so easy to get caught up in that. And so this trust equation, I don't know if I can trust what I'm seeing on the media. I don't know if I can trust these commentators, because they're also, pushing their own agendas. And that trust is requiring people to come up with some sort of, I can't investigate every single thing I see. I can't spend all my day researching every fact. I can't do all of that. So I'm going to look to people in my tribe, right? Who either my friends who I trust or commentators who I trust. And so that, I think, is affecting, is both it's something we can get all upset about, but it's also something as a business we can take advantage of. And it's really, like I said, changing the way people make purchases. So we preach to people from the right because we came from that space. It's a space we're an expert in. We know how to talk to folks who fit that, but it's really something every business ought to look into.
You know what is crucial for business owners, if you're listening to this and still thinking, I don't know, the environment that you operate in is so important, and to understand and to be just up to date and cognizant of everything that's going on. It reminds me almost of the joke of the fishes in the fishbowl, where you had these two older fish just hanging out, I guess. Right. And you have these two younger fishies swim past them, and the older fish looked at the younger fish and say, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, it's great, great." And the older fish then looked at the youngest one and said, "How's the water?" And the youngest fish was like, "Well, what do you mean water?" You mean the environment that you're in?
Right, and right. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So it just reminds me of that, because sometimes, again, Kurt, to hit on your point, is we're so obsessed about the widget or this service or this new offer or something that we have, but you have to understand what is going on in the world out there and in your market and in the environment, and enter the frame of where everybody else is at. And there are a lot of brands that are taking advantage of this liberty spending kind of trend. Can you guys share some stories of brands that people might have heard of that have seized this opportunity already and have seen significant results?
Yeah, I mean, if you've probably heard of Black Rifle Coffee Company. They're a good story about a company that you would recognize. They started as a group of veterans, came back from overseas, were roasting coffee. And that is probably one of the most difficult, most crowded marketplaces in the United States, now probably worldwide. And there's a bunch of giant brands. There's a coffee shop on every corner. There are coffee franchises like Starbucks. And so here are a couple of veterans coming home from overseas trying to break into probably the world's hardest market to break into. So you could call them smart or you could call them dumb, right? They took on the hardest task ever. But they built their brand at Black Rifle Coffee around supporting veterans
and first responders.
And first responders. It was very, alpha, pro-gun, pro-military, and every advertisement, a lot of YouTube videos where they're blowing crap up, a lot of just, and then they also took it to the media. So it wasn't just in the way they talked about it and the way they handled social. When Starbucks, during the first Trump administration, in some respects kind of rescinded on a promise to hire 10,000 veterans and said they were going to hire 10,000 immigrants, or it was refugees, actually. They're going to hire 10,000 refugees instead. Black Rifle Coffee Company jumped up and said, look, we'll hire those 10,000 veterans. And at that time, they probably didn't have 2,000 employees, let alone could hire that number of people. And it was a real catalyst moment for them that helped consumers understand. We've got Starbucks over here complaining about the Trump administration's immigration policies and saying they're going to hire refugees. And here we have red-blooded, rah, American pro-veteran Black Rifle Coffee saying that owned by veterans going to hire veterans. And, fast forward a decade later, they're public for over $1 billion, and they're still thriving right now. That's a company understood. You're not Black Rifle Coffee Company is good. It's not 10x better than every brand in the market. They've got they understand who they're marketing to, and they understand that they're turning off some people.
Yes.
If you hate guns, don't own a gun, want to ban guns, they're probably not the brand for you. They've got a little machine gun in their actual logo. And so that's a good company. But there's also companies been around for a long time who succeed in this, like Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A. And those are small little companies that do $15 billion a year in Hobby Lobby. I think $35 billion a year in Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A is just absolutely murdering everybody in the fast food business. They make McDonald's look like little rinky-dink stores. And they understand their consumer well. And they also, by the way, have great chicken. I think that's one misnomer in this space. You can go after a consumer based on values, but you still got to have a good product.
Yeah. And
Chick-fil-A has a great product. But there's also companies like Every Life Diapers and Patriot Mobile and 7 Weeks is another coffee brand that are out there who have chosen to build a business around this niche and are doing a great job of differentiating themselves in crowded markets.
And you almost see movements that they've created, right? So I walk around and I see people with Black Rifle Coffee T-shirts, and they're wearing them out. So it's almost this. It's a tribe. Back to your story of buying from your tribe.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it can be helpful if you're trying to understand this to think of these big brands. At the same time, I know, most of us are not billion dollar businesses. So it can also feel like, well, okay, that was okay for them, but that's actually how they got there. And so it wasn't always like that. Obviously they started small. And I think what's amazing is, to Kurt's point, there's talking about differentiating. And so, if you're in a crowded market and you're smaller, well, why does somebody pick you over somebody else? And it can be in a service business. It doesn't have to be a consumable. Those things are all true. And we know when we're smaller, it's based on relationships, right? But how is that done? And in this day where there's so much more emphasis on having a personal brand, again, it's like, okay, you're a business owner. You're now expected, okay, I guess does everyone have to be a content creator? I'm not saying that everyone needs to be making silly TikToks, but the importance of having a personal brand is important. And so what story are you going to tell? What do you want people to know about you? What's authentic so that people can connect with you? And what I get excited about is, Kurt mentioned AI, and we're not here to bash AI. We use it. We think it's a great tool. But the easier it is to make content, advertising, the more flooded it is, right? It used to be on social, you were trying to get people's attention, but oh my goodness, there's so much noise now. So it's, how do you connect? How can you build trust where people feel like it's authentic? And we find that that's a way to do it, is to talk about the things that are important to you, the values, what's your story, what made you get into your business. Because these are the things that connect and build some brand loyalty where people want to do business. And now you're attracting people who want to do business with you, as opposed to going out and hitting them over the head and doing silly little, ads to try to get attention. Because even if that works and you get people to convert, they don't stay. They're going to leave the second they find something else that captures their attention. So that's what I get excited about, is helping small and medium businesses build sustainable, long-lasting, loyal customers, so they can continue to have an impact.
I love the strategy that you guys have, the conviction-driven marketing. Can you share just a little bit that too? Because there's a lot of small business owners listening and saying, well, what are some of the ways that I can incorporate that? So maybe if you guys want to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's essentially, if you look at our argument at the very top level, there's a change happening in the market. People are looking at faith and values and politics when they make their brand buying decisions. It's something you've got to look at when you talk about your product, and the way you do it is to imbue your convictions in your marketing, which we call conviction-driven marketing. So if you're the kind of business, I'm going to start with the problem. Most businesses right now are chasing the latest marketing trend. Oh, I saw the ClickFunnels ad. I'm going to go get that now. Oh, wait, this guy has a cool YouTube strategy. Or wait, this person's saying if I dance 20 times a day on TikTok, I can get it done. Or this person has the guaranteed viral marketing strategy. Or this person tells me they've got an email list of 500,000 people. And those are all tactics. Mm-hmm. And some of them will work, some of them won't. They're not strategies. There's nothing about them that's long-term. The YouTube strategy that you're trying today, likely to disappear in 3 months once YouTube figures out that people are exploiting the platform in a certain way and they decide to charge for it. I mean, it's the name of the game. And what we're talking about is changing the entire way you talk about yourself in the market by leading with convictions and building, as Kristen talked about, a real community. So getting off the latest hypey thing and really build a strategy around this. And so we talk to people about how to do it, because there's a lot of subtlety to talking about your convictions. You can both go too light and basically not do anything different. And you can also go too hard and feel inauthentic, or just be too over the top. And so we have a whole 5P strategy we talk about in our book, which we'll leave a link for folks if they want to grab a free copy of it. But they can, a whole 5P strategy, and implement this conviction-driven marketing, so you know how to position your product properly. You know how to build a passionate story, which Kristen was talking about. You know how to build some proof so you can test and confirm what you're talking about is the right strategy. And then a whole slew of product rollout methodologies in this space, also that you can build a true strategy around your marketing and revenue that's going to be a long-term plan for you, and not just the latest TikTok trend.
I would highly recommend the book Liberty Spenders: How to Reach the $5 Trillion Market of High-Value Conservative or Faith-Based Clients to Grow Your Business. Available on Amazon too, and we'll share some links. But in that book, one of the things that I really liked was, just as you explain it, the strategy, the tools and the tactics. It's the same in my business, by the way, too.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are like, well, what do I do right now just to, get XYZ accomplished? And it's like, well, that's just a tactic or just a tool. How about we bring this all together holistically as a strategy? So I really appreciated that. But you guys really break it down of exactly what's going on, and then how small business owners can also implement and execute this strategy overall.
Yeah. Well, MC, sales is done at the speed of trust. I'm stealing that statement from Neil Conlon.
It's a good one.
Sales comes at the speed of, people are buying from you, MC, because they trust you. And so the real question is, how quickly can we get to a position of trust, particularly in a world where people are already starting and thinking, I don't know about this, and And that's why it's so important to look at that strategically. That know, like, and trust thing that we've been talking about for the last 20 years in marketing is almost becoming trust first. It's not entirely that way because you can't trust somebody you've never heard of. But there's an inversion of that equation, and that's got to be essential to every strategic move you make in your business. And I guarantee you, people are saying that's the question they're asking, even if they don't know it. When they're talking to you about, hey, MC's got these really cool ways to create better financing for my business and have more flexibility and reinvest in myself. Mm-hmm. And the real question they're asking isn't do I need this stuff? The real question they're asking is, do I trust this guy? Mm-hmm. Will he actually follow through? Is this real? And we're missing it. A lot of businesses aren't selling anything. They don't know why. I got all this cool stuff. I did the ClickFunnels 3-day conference. I got the coolest funnel ever. And because they just don't trust. You've not gotten into a position of trust. You've not ever crossed that. It's almost like a permission to play value right now. Right. You've got to get there first and quickly.
And there's just a lot of noise. And so this is just one way to try to cut through some of that.
Yeah. The Dollar Shave Club days are over, right? It's if every time
I don't know if they're over, but they're like a lot harder to achieve.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, if I go to another marketing thing where somebody plays that ad and says, look, this is the secret, go viral with the silly ad when you're blasting through paper and doing all that. Now, it's so easy to do that stuff these days. Mm-hmm. And so the value of that stuff is down, and you get some virality, but it doesn't really answer the question of who are these people and why should I be buying from them? Now, I do think Dollar Shave Club, to give them some credit, in that ad campaign talked about what they cared about. Like, you're overpaying. These big national companies just want to make you pay $473 to $1,000 to get some razors, and I'll give it to you for $1, right?
Yeah.
But there's too much emphasis on, let me just go get a bunch of eyeballs on my stuff. And that attention, Kristen mentioned it earlier, the attention economy, the whole world's changing, and AI just is going to escalate how little value attention is going to be, because now all of your consumers know that all of the ads they're seeing are fake. There's no value in them. Not fake. They're fake, AI generated. Yeah. There's no value in them. Nobody sat down and filmed this, paid the actors, took 3 days, wrote the script, did all that anymore. Because now they just did that all with AI. So all of those sort of attention-getting things become less valuable and less persuasive to consumers. And so the world's changing, and that ability to connect with people is going to have to be on something other than, oh, look at my funny ad.
Yeah, it's the connection. It's almost like the new connection economy. Do I connect with your values? And I mean, at the time of recording, we've had this year people keying, Tesla cars. So,
yeah.
Right.
So you talk about values or, connection to a message or belief system and so forth. It's front and center. Instead of just getting someone's eyeballs and, throwing money through a money gun that you can buy on Amazon up in a video or something like that.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting about that is I'm sure there's a public survey about it, but if you were to go 5 or 6 years ago, before Elon Musk got involved in politics, the perception in the country was, because he ran an electric car company, he probably leaned left politically, and Tesla and his company, very popular with that crowd. You have more Teslas in San Francisco than there were in Indianapolis, right?
That was the status.
That's the deal.
Symbol. Yeah, and to be driving that.
Hailed. They're inviting him on Saturday Night Live. They're doing all this stuff because he sort of fits that, in their mind, this kind of West Coast, political viewpoint. Then he got involved in politics and he supported Trump. So that alone, not a problem with the Tesla car, nothing about quality, nothing about features and benefits changed. The only thing that changed was Elon Musk's now a Republican and involved with Trump. And now, currently, it is a totally partisan brand. Favorability of Tesla's high with Republicans, many of which have never bought an electric car, and very unpopular with Democrats who like electric cars. And so the lesson there, it's an extreme one with people keying it, but the lesson there is nothing else changed except is the people's perceptions of Elon Musk's political convictions. So if you don't think that they aren't asking the same thing about your business, you may not be as public, but they're looking for little hints, right?
Yep.
They're checking out they're checking for those sorts of things. And particularly as you get bigger, those things become more known. And it's both a danger and an opportunity. And for most of your listeners, it's a big opportunity, right? There's a lot of people out there doing your thing, right? You're not
I feel the need to say, because when people hear that, that's like scary. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why would I do this then? Look what's happening to this poor man. I think there's obviously a lot of ways to do it and to pick how you want to message those things. I mean, obviously Elon is very outspoken and,
it's an extreme example.
Yeah,
I mean, like Mike Lindell's extreme example.
Right.
But, Black Rifle Coffee is a good
guy, right? Just for
sorry, we should explain that. Yes, My Pillow, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Black Rifle Coffee is a great example of a company. They didn't take partisan.
Right. You don't have to be partisan.
They just were sort of pro-veteran and pro-military. And there's some people who are a little less pro-veteran and pro-military, but that's generally a pretty universal viewpoint, right? But it sends a signal to an audience. But I also would tell people, don't be terribly afraid to scare a few customers off, right? I mean, it's better to be something to somebody than everything to nobody, right? Yeah. And I that's where a lot of businesses go wrong. They're trying to, I got to get every customer. I need everyone in the world to want to buy my widget or my thing. You don't need everybody in the world. You need a few people. I don't know how many people MC needs to make good money, but it's not 300 million American consumers. It might be 300, right?
Yep.
So why not have 300 passionate fans who practically die for you than to have 3 million people who all, oh yeah, this seems cool, and none of them are buying. Right.
No, and what you'll find too is that you will find and plug into certain tribes. And I want to talk a little bit about that and business communities and business owners and so forth. And you guys have something really exciting that you're building too with for business owners, an alliance. Can you share a little bit more about that and just the importance of connecting with other business owners and like-minded folks?
Well, I think one of the things, again, I know all kinds of people listen to your podcast, but for anyone that is an entrepreneurial, a business owner, it can be lonely. Sometimes it's a very hard road, and we have to die to self a lot. It's a very humbling process. And so we have learned over the years, there is such a power in community, and there is such a power when you're working on your business, not just in your business, but working on it, especially with another group of people who are like-minded and who are, equally vested in your success. They're there to contribute and help you grow. We've been blessed to be a part of a number of those groups, and it has been so vital to us being able to grow and make smart decisions and learn from people who know other things that we don't know. And so it's interesting, as we launched this, we were helping these amazing companies, but you still had to be at a higher financial position in order to hire us. And so what we have thought about is, well, how can we provide a level of community, one that we have benefited from, for these people that are trying to speak to this audience? So yes, we did just launch what we're calling the Liberty Business Alliance for people who would like to learn a little bit more about this, join a community of like-minded people where you can assist. We're getting excited too about the opportunities for strategic partnerships, joint ventures within that group. But we're taking people through some training, some workshops, giving people an opportunity to network amongst themselves. And so I'm excited about that because I know the power that it can provide, again, not because of us, but because of the other people in the room. And the other thing I'll say that is an interesting opportunity about Liberty spenders, although again, this is true across the political spectrum. That is a tight-knit group of people. And so I mentioned before about the loyalty rate, referral rates higher, all of those things. So now just think about that among business owners and think about the power of that, where not just you're in another kind of business networking group where, hey, we'd love to do deals, we'd love to still help each other. But now you've got people who are completely mission and values aligned. And so it's just extremely powerful. What we're already seeing happen is really exciting. So yes, that's a new thing we're offering. We're going to build a landing page for your audience, libertyspenders.com/cashflow. So you can go there. That's where you can get a quick link to get, again, free copy of the book. We've got some worksheets, but you can also learn more about that business alliance if you're interested.
Yeah. I mean, for years, we've had partners who we've worked with, and we go in and we do it all. We're their agency of record. We've had retainers, in the 7 figures before in a year to do that kind of work. And that just means we're always with the big guys who are already, 50% of the way there. But there's a real excitement in transforming people by meeting them where they are. Their business is doing a few $1,000,000. They're ready to scale. They need what we can offer in our full service agency, but maybe they're not quite ready to jump in. They're not ready to be spending 7 figures a year on advertising, the whole thing. But they need to be really juicing up their advertising campaigns or their PR, their podcast booking, their brand ambassador. And we're trying to bring all of that to them. We really want to over deliver. And so we want to give people what we're giving the big guys, but in more of a group setting, and really transform some folks. So we're pumped about that. If anybody wants to hit us up and raise their hand and apply to join.
Awesome. And that's libertyspenders.com/cashflow, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. We talk about a lot of things on the show: business, investing, cash flow. But one of my favorite topics to talk about too is legacy and living and leaving a legacy. So I always ask our guests that if you cannot pass on any money to future generations, but you are only allowed to pass on, let's just say, 3 principles or values to them to help them achieve happiness and success and build real wealth, all forms of it, what would they be?
For my children, I really want to pass on the secret of putting their identity in Christ and not in some external factor.
Amen.
That's a hard lesson to learn. I think to some extent, life is almost entirely about identifying and killing off those things that I sort of talk myself into believing are a good alternative for just looking to our Creator and recognizing He created us in His image, died for us, and is the pathway to happiness. I think if you get that right, there's almost not a 2 or 3. But that's number 1 for me. Since I did number 1, do you want to do number 2? I probably stole the coolest one or something. So
I would have said it differently, but yes, that is yes. Our faith is very important to us, so that's always going to be number 1.
Yeah, I think for also just the idea of resilience and flexibility, kind of in that same vein. I think as we observe society right now and kids who are getting out of college and in high school, there seems to be something in the picture that's missing right now, and people don't really understand resiliency. And it may be because we've gotten so good at making things easy. We got cell phones and we can call a car. Kristen and I are one of the last generations to grow up without cell phones, right? It's really, I think, creating this anxiety amongst people like that. I'm going to screw it up, or something's not going to go right. I can't make a decision. And I really want to instill in our kids this idea that we can overcome and be resilient. And And then
we have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So we started very late. So we're early into the parenting game. But I have our daughter Eliana say, I can do hard things.
Yes.
When she's struggling with something, and it's just a great mindset shift. And I think I'll steal number 3, which it's very tied to faith, but another way of looking at it, which absolutely came from the brilliant Tony Robbins, who has been a mentor of ours for years, wonderful human. He had the expression, trade your expectation for appreciation. And I just think it's such a simple and yet powerful concept that if you can actually build that in, whether that's through prayer, whether that's through meditation, or whether that's just taking a moment, because you can't be angry and grateful at the same time. You actually can't do it. You can't be worried and grateful at the same time. And so when you have those things that aren't going right, or you're frustrated, or you feel like I can't break through, if you can just find a way to get quiet and think about the things that are going right. One thing he points out is there's always, what's wrong is always available, and so is what's right. It's just a matter of what are you looking for and what are you focusing on. And so that goes with resilience. But I think Kurt's right. If you get number 1 right, but it's all part of it. And so I think in terms of principles, those are huge, because if you have that mindset, then you are resilient. You can move forward. You can take the next step to keep, marching towards hopefully doing what God calls you to do.
Those were fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
it's a great question.
Yes. No, I really appreciate it. The link, libertyspenders.com/cashflow. Any other places where folks can follow you, stay in touch, and just stay in touch of all of the many cool projects that you guys are involved with?
Oh, sure. We're on all the typical socials, right? You can get clips of our podcast. So again, people should check out your episode, which was phenomenal. So you can capture any of those things to hear about us or learn more about us. But I just want to thank you again for this opportunity. I think what you're doing is so cool. And I love listening and learning from you. So thanks for letting us share.
Yeah. Well, you can go to libertyspenders.com generically, and Kristen referenced YouTube's probably the best place to go to find the Liberty Spenders podcast. And you just go to YouTube and Google Liberty Spenders. And yes, you can find MC's episode, which is great. But we've done it a little over a year now. So I think we're
not the pro that you are.
We're getting to 60 episodes. We are every week on Tuesday mornings. We might start expanding some additional episodes, but check it out. We've had some really cool people on, like Steve Green, the president of Hobby Lobby. We had one of the founders of Black Rifle Coffee. We just interviewed a couple weeks ago. His episode's not out yet, but that one's really cool. We had a guy on whose episode will come out very soon, who's one of the guys who started Fox News Radio back in the day when Fox News was nothing.
And all he does is tell stories, and he is an amazing storyteller. It is like...
Yeah, I would have done a 4-hour episode. I would have done a Joe Rogan episode with him if we had the amount of time. And we'll probably have him back on. Mark
It
Masters
helps if you've been a news junkie. Otherwise, you may not find it interesting. We're such nerds, so we were geeking out over it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really cool stuff there and some really great experts on as well. So check out the podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey and your knowledge and just providing so much value to all of my listeners and my viewers. Appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of my listeners and my viewers for again spending your most valuable resource, your time, once again with me on the show. Everything Cashflow Ninja is at cashflowninja.com. That's cashflowninja.com. We have over 1,000 podcasts. We've got 4 books, reports, webinars, and much, much more. And don't forget to subscribe to the #1 newsletter in the alternative wealth strategy and alternative asset investing space, the Wealth Dojo. You can subscribe to the Wealth Dojo by going to cashflowninja.com/subscribe. Until next time, live infinitely.
This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.